Wait, there might be another government shutdown?
Another government shutdown?
There might be another government shutdown.
White House economic policy correspondent Jacob Bogage.
Did someone say government shutdown 3 times?
Shutdown. Shutdown.
Shutdown.
I think we did. Well, now that I have you here, Jacob, what's happening, man? What's going on?
With the government shutdown or generally?
I mean, just, man, there's a million things that are going on, but like it feels like we are hurtling towards this another like shutdown cliff. Didn't we like just have one?
We did just have one.
Yeah.
The longest in U.S. history. They kicked the can down the road with another deadline to the end of January. And Congress is on a path to pass a number of bills to keep parts of the government open. But like half the government, still, there hasn't been any progress on it. And the recent activity by immigration enforcement officials out in Minnesota and other parts of the country are making it a lot harder to get any progress done. And we're getting pretty close to that deadline.
When, if we do have a shutdown, when would it start?
It would start at midnight on... I've done a weird amount of reporting about when a day technically starts.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what we need.
Okay. 11:59 p.m. belongs to the day prior. 12 o'clock midnight belongs to the next day. It's technically a.m. So it would start at the stroke of midnight on February 1st.
Okay. And from that time, they have however many days to like figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. Right. You know, the administration showed during the first shutdown that it's going to be pretty aggressive the way it moves money around to keep certain things open. If there's agencies that the White House doesn't particularly care that much about, it's going to leave those agencies closed or leave functions of those agencies closed. In the first shutdown, they tried to use it to lay off a bunch of federal employees. That was unlawful, and those employees were reinstated. So there's a whole lot of maneuvering that can happen. And again, if this were to happen, we would be in a partial shutdown. There are some agencies that are funded or that are like well on their way to getting funded, and we don't really expect any roadblocks in Congress. And there are others that it's going to be a lot more difficult.
So I remember last time SNAP, like food assistance, was kind of like on the chopping block. And I know that right now the president already said he's cutting some to some states, like I think to like Minnesota.
Yeah, because of the fraud investigations.
Right, is experiencing something. So like, are there any particular programs that the president has said he's anxious to not fund? Or are there something that he views as like absolute priorities that must be funded? Like, where's the White House's head on this?
That's a great question. So I like to think about it this way, and this is an oversimplification, but I'm going to look directly to camera and say it. Agencies that carry guns are going to have their money, and agencies that don't carry guns probably won't.
It's a good rule of thumb.
It's a tremendous oversimplification, but agencies like the Department of Defense, like Homeland Security, things that carry a weapon are going to have their money, either because Democrats and Republicans have generally agreed on how much defense money to spend, or because the president is going to aggressively move money around to fund these operations. Something like Homeland Security, even if their budget isn't authorized, the One Big Beautiful Bill, which I spent my entire summer covering, gave like 160 or 180, I don't have the number in front of me, but 160 or 180 billion dollars to the Department of Homeland Security. And that is untethered from the annual spending bills. They can use that over like 4 or 5 years. The other thing is the way that these bills come together. There's 12 appropriations bills or 12 funding bills. And if we were going to do all of this by the book, Congress would go through and pass each of them individually. Defense, labor, health, and human services, interior.
So they have the discussions about every single thing, and they pass them kind of like a la carte style.
And in theory, if we did this by the book, we would go one by one through all 12 bills. But they're the Congress. They don't have time for that boo-boo.
Yeah.
They cobble these things together. And so they'll do 3 of these bills at a time, and then another 3.
And that's how you get a 1,000-page bill.
And you get 1,000 pages.
That comes through at midnight. That people haven't had the time to read, and even that people can sneak a thing in there maybe.
Yes,
they can or take a thing out.
And that's been my experience. I mean,
Yeah.
when I've covered these bills sitting in the House chamber as the House is voting on them. Literally, lawmakers are casting their vote. Do I support this bill, or do I want it to become law or not become law? And I'm reading the bill that's just been released and finding things that are in it. And then I will go and ask lawmakers afterward, what did you think of this provision? And they don't know about it. I mean, that is a real thing that happens. These are thousands of pages. They're very, very detailed. There are these things called committee reports, which are actually separate policy documents that are not written into the bill text, but carry the force of law about what you can and can't do with that money. So are people reading committee reports? There's a whole convoluted process to this. Joey, did you get allowance growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did your parents ever give you allowance and say, this is for the whole month? Don't come back to me and ask for more money.
No, never.
Never? That's what my parents would do. My
No,
parents,
all the time.
Yeah,
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
They would say, here's
your
allowance.
week. Yeah,
Here's
yeah.
your week. Don't come back and ask me for more money.
Right.
This is your money for the week. Well, in the early days of the American government, what federal agencies used to do is say, thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad, for the money. And then they would go out and spend all of it right away. And they would go, actually, Congress, we need more money.
Yeah.
And so Congress passed this law that said, no, you can't spend money on things unless we've given you explicit authorization to do it. And if you spend all your money, don't come back and ask for more. And if you violate that law, there's really, really heavy penalties about it. Part of that law also means you can't take from bucket A and spend it on bucket B. That's an Anti-Deficiency Act violation. So that was one of the things that President Trump and the administration played fast and loose with during the first shutdown. You've got money for this, but we actually want to keep this open. Let's just click and drag it, and we'll figure out the details later. So that's not how our government works.
This might be a silly comparison, but if back to the allowance thing, if well, not even that. If I got money for a school lunch,
Yeah.
and my parents gave me that, but I decided I want to buy Pokemon cards. I want to see if there's some shinies in there. I
Yeah.
want to go do that, and I bought the Pokemon cards instead. That would be moving the money from the lunch part over to Pokemon cards.
Right. But the issue is you still got to eat, right?
Exactly. So I go back to them and I say, hey, Mom, Dad, I spent the money on Pokemon cards. Nothing interesting, by the way. Not that you care, but also I need money for
Mom,
food.
Dad, these Pokemon cards were an investment.
Right. They're going to appreciate in
Yes.
value, Mommy. Now I need cash for a sandwich. And that's
They might send you to your room.
right.
And that's what the federal government does. If you violate the Anti-Deficiency Act, the federal government sends you to your room, i.e. a penitentiary,
Yeah.
for a not insignificant
With
period of
bars.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how would Congress go about making sure that the money isn't moved around in a certain
Yeah.
way?
So that's why the committee reports are so important.
Okay.
Congress can only write so much into a law, and a lot of times the law says, and look back at this other thing where we're going to lay out all of our priorities in much more detail. So they're taking a lot of that text and just directly incorporating it into the statute. They want to make it completely unambiguous. If this ever gets challenged, if the White House needs to figure out what's going on, no. Congress said that we want the following stuff, none of the other stuff. And so that's what they're trying to do more of.
You walk around, you're seeing these senators, you're seeing these House members. What are you hearing now about the fate of the shutdown? Is it because there's a world where February 1st comes and they have a budget and it's great and they pass it and the government doesn't shut down. But
no one wants to do this again.
right.
No one wants. I mean, government shutdowns. The thing I hear the most is that government shutdowns are about pain. Which party feels the pain? Which lawmakers specifically feel the pain?
TSA was shut down. Sorry, I'm just
Yeah,
remembering.
TSA, all those
Just holiday travel.
Yeah, holiday
Yeah.
travel. They're all working. They're not getting paid.
Right.
In some cases, then they move money around, and they were. But again, should they have been? Probably not. So it's all about pain, and sometimes it can come down to individual lawmakers. Right. In the House, the number to get to for votes is 218. In the Senate, it's 60 to clear a filibuster. Sometimes it can come down to individual members to count those number of votes.
The Venezuela raid and the Greenland thing, do those have anything to do with the government shutdown? Are they trying to use the budget in any way to help or prevent something like that from happening?
That's a great question. One of the reasons I love my job so much is because Congress has a lot, and the federal government generally has a lot of different powers and authorities and jobs. But if we really, really, really boil it down, like what's one of the main jobs of the government, it's to take the people's money in taxes and decide what to spend it on. And then to evaluate, was that the right decision? And did the people who are supposed to make those decisions do a good job? What's one of the main ways you punish people in the federal government who don't do a good job? You take their money away. And so when our colleagues here at the Washington Post broke the story of the Defense Department bombing these drug boats and drug vessels, or suspected drug vessels, off the coast of Venezuela, and doing it in a way that may have violated international law and constituted war crimes, like what's one way you hold the Defense Department accountable for that? You dock their funding, or you say you can't use the money to do the following things. When the president makes threats about Greenland, what's one way you hold the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, accountable? You say you can't use money for this stuff, or you can't, or you get less money, or whatever it is. You say we won't give you your money until you come in and testify about it, or on a condition of getting your money is that you have to come in and testify once every quarter or whatever it is. So is it going to lead to the government shutting down? Not really. Is it going to lead to all kinds of like tucking and bartering behind the scenes to create an accountability chain for some of these agencies? I think that is likely. And one of the things that we see, one of the first funding bills I covered when I was up in Congress, Senator Mike Bennett, who's now running for governor of Colorado, held the whole thing up for like 8-10 hours because he wanted specific commitments about American assistance for Ukraine.
Not $5 billion for his rinky-dink wall he's talking about building. $46 billion of border security.
And did it lead to the government shutting down? No. But was there like a flurry of phone calls and like secret meetings in the Capitol and like different government agencies that day to try to satisfy Michael Bennett? Yeah, it was freaking crazy. So all of that stuff kind of goes on behind the scenes. It very rarely leads to a shutdown, but it colors the entire bill.
Okay, well, if there is another shutdown, I will say shutdown 3 times in a row. I don't know if you'll be at dinner, you might be at a reporting, but you will appear, and we can talk about it.
Yeah, you got to say it again so I can get out of here.
And shutdown. Okay, Jacob, where can the people find you if they want to watch you, if they want to read you? How can they get more Bogage in their life?
All the socials at Jacob Bogage. We'll put it up on this. It's right here. It's right here on the screen. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Then I just look like an idiot. It's right there on the screen. And WashingtonPost.com, where I am pretty much every day. And if you say shutdown 3 times, I might appear.
Awesome. That was good.
All right,
that was good, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, hell yeah.